Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
Because it's so much fun.
Oh, really? Okay, I'd like to see you walk down the street and get attacked by some kids who've just seen your movie.
But you saw, but see, you're all messed up because you're talking about real life.
Oh,
and I'm
I see.
talking
And kids
about
at
the
12,
movies. You got to
kids
get
at
it straight.
12.
Now, if you want to talk about the movies, we'll talk about the movies.
Okay, and
if you
kids
want to
at
talk
12
about real life,
can
we'll
tell
talk
the
about real
difference.
life.
A few days ago, I had basically the same argument with YouTuber Ready to Glare, but this time concerning the book Sex, written by Madonna. The passage that sparked the discussion was this one. Sex with the young can be fun if you're in the mood. If you're feeling impatient or you feel like you want someone else to take charge, do not have sex with someone inexperienced. But it can be really arousing. One of the best experiences I ever had was with a teenage boy. I think he was a virgin. He hardly had any pubic hair. He was Puerto Rican. He was uncircumcised. He lived in my building and he used to come over to my apartment all the time and just to watch me put on my makeup and get ready to go out. He hung around me all the time. He never went to school, so I started giving him reading assignments. I'd have him read out loud, like Henry Miller's The Tropic of Cancer or something really arousing. Whenever he got ready to leave, he would kiss me goodbye. But the kisses started getting more and more daring on his part, and I just went with it. Then one day, his parents kicked him out of his apartment, and he wanted to know if he could spend the night at my house. I told him he could, but I only had one bed. So we both got in it, and I couldn't sleep, so I had sex with him, and it was really awesome because he was so young and so in wonderment of it all. He was fearless. He would do anything. He wasn't very big, he was just a baby. See, I'm not a size queen, but he was excellent. He went down on me and I think I had an orgasm in 2 seconds. I was so turned on. It was probably the most erotic sex I ever had. But he gave me crabs. That's what you get. So you win some and you lose some. Ready to Glare, whose real name is Julia Christina, posted that little excerpt of the book and tweeted, "Reminder that Madonna is creepy as hell." Excerpt from her book. So I responded saying that that was not a real story and explaining why Madonna wrote it, and as response, Julia Christina wrote this. "I don't think it's normal or acceptable to write about sex with very young people. What's the point? Who is the audience you're catering to?" Now this kind of argumentation is just as pathetic as the one we saw in the beginning of the video that lady was making with Quentin Tarantino. Now before I break that argument down, I want to give a little bit of background about what the book is about and why it has become such a controversy lately. Now it's been a couple of years since that excerpt has been circulating in some internet forums where the online cabal of Volkscodes decide who they are targeting for cancellation next. And it seems that the cultural sacrificial lamb of the hour is the eternal material girl, the geriatric queen of pop, Madonna Ciccone. So it wouldn't take long until drama YouTubers like Julia Christina would try to cash in and cater to the outraged mob of Volkscodes going after yet another fallen pop culture icon. Now, I am a huge fan of Madonna, but honestly it doesn't bother me that the Volkscodes or whatever are going after her, because there's more than enough reasons to criticize her. I mean, it would have bothered me like in 1998 when I would have defended her no matter what, but I am the first fan to admit that Madonna didn't age very well. And I'm not talking about her looks. She looks great, and honestly I don't care about that. I'm talking about her attitudes, her behaviors, her lyrics. Now Madonna always oscillated between being extremely awesome and extremely cringe, and it seems that over time the cringe overtook the awesomeness, which as a fan, of course, I find kind of disappointing.
That's the thing about COVID-19, it doesn't care about how rich you are, how famous you are. It's the great equalizer.
But we're not talking about something she said last week or 3 months ago or 5 years ago. We're talking about a book she wrote 30 fucking years ago. In 1992, Madonna was promoting her album Erotica, arguably the best of her career and one of the best pop albums ever. And alongside the album, she released an erotica book called Sex, containing pictures and some short stories. The book sold over 1.5 million copies and topped the New York Times bestseller list. And love it or hate it, but the impacts of Madonna erotica era in feminist and post-feminist art is undeniable. If today we see songs like Wet Ass Pussy topping the charts, it's in large parts because of Madonna's unapologetic attitude towards the way she expressed her sexuality through her art. And it's important to know that by that time, Madonna was the most famous woman on the planet. And with this book, she introduced things that were quite obscure at the time, like BDSM and role-playing, to a mainstream audience. And that, of course, was very shocking. People were not used to those things. The book got many negative reviews because people thought she had gone too far with her edginess, which is exactly the kind of reaction she wanted. I mean, Madonna's art has always been as controversial as possible. 1984, she was on the MTV VMA stage simulating masturbation, wearing a wedding gown while performing like a virgin. In 1989, she was tackling police brutality and racism in a music video of Like a Prayer, where she had a sexy moment with a black saint inside a church. So after doing all this stuff, she had to come up with something really over the top in order to shock people. And wow, she succeeded at that so brilliantly that people are still going after her for that book 30 years later. But this time, it's not the Puritan Christian conservatives who are going after her.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
But the new class of boring, censorious, self-righteous twats, the woke libs.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Okay, now that we have this context of this book, let's look at what Julia Christina and her clout chasers were accusing Madonna of. They were accusing Madonna of pedophilia. First, that under all circumstances is wrong. Second, Madonna doesn't actually mention the kid's age in her book. She refers to this boy only as a teenager. Well, teenager ranges from 13 to 19. Now, she did write that he didn't have much pubic hair, which could put him in an early teens range, but not necessarily. With the information given in the book, you can't accuse her of any wrongdoing. And third, and most importantly, this is not real. Now, the book was written in first-person perspective, which makes some people think that this is some sort of autobiography or memoirs of Madonna. The narrator of the stories is a fictional character named Mistress Dita.
My name is Dita. I'll be your mistress tonight.
As far as anyone can tell, this is all made up. It's fiction. And in fiction, everything is allowed because it's fucking fiction.
What I do is I pretend to be the person I'm portraying in the film or play.
Yeah.
You're confused.
No,
It's perfectly simple.
I mean, seriously, I had some moronic, ready-to-glare clout chasers accusing me of defending pedophilia for saying that Madonna did nothing wrong for writing a character in a fictional book that may have had sex with an underage boy. Oh my god. What these people are doing is analogous to accusing Quentin Tarantino of being a torturer for writing that scene in Reservoir Dogs.
Please! That burn a little bit? Stop!
Now, when defending this absurd position became too blatantly stupid, Julia Christina started changing the goalposts. And she was like asking why cater? She's catering to pedophiles. Or to write this, she must have fantasies about having sex to young boys. Or why would she write this? Let me reiterate. Madonna wrote this book to be as shocking as possible. This story is pure shock value, and the crab's detail at the end of the story makes it very clear that this is a joke. Again, doing the Tarantino analogy, the argument here would be that for Tarantino to write that scene in Pulp Fiction where the cop rapes the character Marcellus, Tarantino is catering to rapists and he must have fantasies about raping 250-pound black men. This is fucking insane! If you make this argument seriously, you're a fucking idiot. I mean, this bitch bragged about having a master's in literature, and she doesn't know that when an author writes a provocative scene in a controversial work, that is not an admission that they have done that in real life. And that writing violent things in your story is not an incentive or an encouragement for people to go and do that in real life. Didn't this fucking dumbass learn anything in her masters? Or is she really this fucking dense? Because this is some Puritan Christian evangelical bullshit. Because this is what those cunts argue, that we should censor all violent and sexual art because that will encourage people to do that in real life. Fuck off. There are numerous studies that show that when people play games, watch movies, or read books where characters commit crimes, nobody is encouraged to commit that crime themselves in real life. Now, the last thing I want to address is the point that people raised about why did she write this in the first place? Now, I responded to that on Twitter already, but I'll give a better explanation here with examples. The age gap romance is a very common trend in pop culture, but usually what you have is an older man and a young woman, sometimes an underage girl. Now, you have examples that in music, like Chuck Berry's Sweet Little 16 or Little Queenie, or the Rolling Stones' Stray Cat Blues. And you also see that in TV shows, in movies, and books, and everywhere in pop culture. Now, in many parts of the world, including some conservative areas in the United States, it's still socially acceptable for older men to court young underage girls. Now, what Madonna did with that little story was change the roles. And then everyone lost their shit.
Would it sound better if I were a man?
She wrote that to trigger sexist Christian conservatives, which is what she did most of her career and why I love her so much. What she didn't expect is that would trigger a new kind of conservatives 30 fucking years later. I mean, like, Julia Christina can dye her hair in rainbow colors, have all those cool tattoos, and wear the most trendy outfits and makeup, but all of that shit is just for show if she's gonna take such reactionary and ultra-conservative stance in her commentary. And if she's gonna apply this standard to this topic in art, sex with underage people, and have a different standard to other topics in arts like violence, torture, rape, she's just being a fucking hypocrite. I know that the trend among woke libs now is to censor art. This is not shocking to me. I've been talking about this for 3 years now. After getting people deplatformed and fired from the jobs, the next step would be to ban non-fictional books and documentaries that they find offensive, and then the next step would be to ban art that they find offensive, which is exactly where we are now. I mean, nowadays there are online campaigns to ban video games, TV shows, books, movies. They are not coming from Christian conservatives, from the traditional conservatives. And as a drama YouTuber, I know it must be very tempting for Julia Christina to cater to these people, because they are online all the time and they give you a lot of engagement. Most of them are kids, but they are a very negative force in our culture. Now, honestly, I don't believe that Julia Christina is the absolute dumbass that she appeared to be here. I'm pretty sure she understands that life and art are not the same, and that treating both as the same only helps reactionaries who want to ban everything that they don't like. Absolute artistic freedom is an inalienable right in a free society. If we allow a group of people to dictate what is permissible in art and what isn't, we are fucked. Because everything that will be a threat to their power will be banned. It will become a dictatorship. This is why every artist, content creator should stand up to this shit and never encourage it. And if Julia Christina knows this, and I believe she does, and continues to encourage these people, continues to encourage this sort of behavior because it gives her engagement, money, or whatever, she's just another fucking grifter. Just another social parasite ripping people off online so she doesn't have to get a real job. Now, I'm totally aware that she's not gonna listen to me, and she probably will never even watch this video, but I know that some of you who watch me are fans of her, and some of you actually know her and talk to her. Maybe she'll listen to you. Well, thank you for watching, guys. A very special thank you to my patrons. As always, your support means everything to me. Thank you so much. I've been Michel, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.